Midsommar arrives in theaters as director Ari Aster's follow-up to last year's surprise horror hit Hereditary, a movie that a whole lot of people who had no business trying to watch that kind of movie saw because of its strong cast, classy upscale setting, and their one dark-humored friend who kept telling them, "No, you gotta see it, I can't tell you why, just trust me." Now, as a filmmaker, it's clear that Aster has a signature style that favors subtle in-camera effects, long takes, meaningful, deliberate composition, slow-burn narratives, really slow-burn narratives centered on psychological breakdown and emotional trauma. It's also clear that we are no closer to answering the main question still lingering in my mind about his abilities by the climax of Hereditary. Is this guy brilliant, or is this guy full of shit? Also, does that make a difference? I was hardly the only critic to draw comparisons between Hereditary's eventual gonzo third-act payoff and surreal build-up there too, and the surreal Italian horror films of the 1970s and 80s associated with Dario Argento, Lucio Fulci, etc., but the context often missing from such comparisons is that they cut both ways. You see, the Italian giallo or art house gore trend perplexed and unsettled critics at the time with an uneasy mix of seeming high art signifiers, glamorous European backdrops, subtitles, abstract visuals, unconventional pacing, with lowbrow sex and violence. The question being, were those guys artists using shock as an element, or schlockmeisters who luckily worked in driving distance of Renaissance architecture to put in the background? Well, it generally turned out to be the second one, by the way, though the movies are still pretty fun. So too seems the question with Aster. What won me over at Hereditary, outside of Toni Collette's fire-breathing lead performance, was its nasty double fake-out from we're a brutal horror movie to actual real horror is living with lost drama in the middle, and then back around to the brutal horror for the finish. And watching it boldly leap into its own abyss was inspiring, but what seemed to get a lot of other people off was the whole notion of setting a genuinely creepy, out there, Rosemary Baby-style freak show in this kind of upscale, suburban, classy, Northwest, Better Homes and Gardens setting, which is either a nifty, subversive take on the material or just a stylistic fetish that he's messing around with. But which is which, and does it matter? You know, if it somehow turns out that his pretense is really just that, simply a schlock auteur who likes wrapping conventional wouldn't-it-be-nasty genre exercises in an NPR-ready gloss. But okay, if you do give Aster the benefit of the doubt that he knows full well what he's doing, is in on his own joke, and as opposed to just assembling his nightmares and fetishes into a loose set of horror set pieces, like some kind of Pottery Barn Lucio Fulci, the game in Midsommar seems to be less coherent fear and more of a personal challenge. Most horror movies that use this plot have spooky settings and scary people. Can my version still be scary if it's set in a kitschy fairy tale commune full of happy, smiling Swedes where it's always sunny out? The answer? Yeah, pretty much. It's basically a patch on 2000 Maniacs, The Wicker Man, House of a Thousand Corpses. You probably got that idea from the trailers. The non-spoiler plot involves Florence Pugh as a trauma-recovering woman whose jerky boyfriend invites her along for a mystery trip with his buddies to a secluded Swedish village's annual midsummer festival with one of their college friends who's supposedly from there. Once arrived, things aren't what they seem, and it all turns very grotesque and terrifying quickly. Hey, what are we eating? What's this ritual? Why are we taking so many drugs? Is it really supposed to be sunny all the time? What is the mythos going on here? What is your religion? Did that person just die? What is actually happening? If, again, you've seen movies like this, you just haven't quite seen them look and feel this way. To give any more than that away would involve spoilers, though as you may have inferred, there's not too much that anyone who hasn't seen one other "hey, I think we're trapped with a cult" movie won't figure out pretty quickly. If anything, the surprises are less the point than the silences Midsommar ekes out in its deliberately overlong "why are we even still here" pacing and admirably unbroken commitment to the bit. All things considered, I liked it enough. It does feel a bit like a downgrade after Hereditary, though, especially once you cue into the idea that this isn't necessarily anything other than the stylistic conceit, which is too bad, seeing as even the aforementioned 2000 Maniacs had a point. I kind of feel like the 2.5-hour version of this is pretty good, but the 5.5-minute black metal music video version of the same basic joke would have been epic. Still, while slight, especially if aiming to avoid spoilers as I've tried to here, Midsommar is pretty effective at offering a ghoulish summer alternative to the usual fare. 6 out of 10, definitely check it out if this seems to be your bag.